Animation has always fascinated me, and I'm often inspired to try to do some myself. But whenever I've tried, I've realized very quickly that it takes too much work, and I'm just not good enough at drawing. But one day, the algorithm bestowed upon me a video titled Cat City. A video that showed me a much more pragmatic kind of inspiration. A video created by Vewn. And as I burned through her work, I discovered animations that were energetic, profound, and all around incredible. But the only reason they work is because of one important concept. Bad art is good for animation. The first thing I noticed about Vewn was that her art is, well, bad. I hate saying that, and after thinking it over, I don't even think I agree with it anymore, but you get what my point is, right? That if this were a still image posted in an art contest, this would be ranked toward the bottom. Yes, art is complicated. It's got a lot of varying elements, and which ones we prefer is very subjective. But there's one concept that's universal. Higher detail equals higher quality. Therefore, lower detail equals lower quality. This is really what stands out when we say this art is bad. But this concept only works for still images. And guess what?
How am I gonna pay for this?
So let's take this idea of low detail versus high detail and think about it in terms of animation. Draw a stickman. How long did it take? Now draw your favorite anime character. How long did that take? But animation is 12 frames per second. See? A higher detail character model results in exponentially more work. Even for professional studios, the level of detail in the character model affects how they're allowed to animate. For a show like The Irregular at Magic High School that has high detail models, many scenes only animate the mouths. The rest of the model is still, which they try to mask by simulating camera movement. But when we use characters that are literal stickmen, now we can get something really cool. Because in animation, bad art isn't bad. It's actually a necessity, and the time that would have been wasted can now be spent elsewhere. Now that Vewn's got extra time by making her characters simple, she can now focus on the stuff that's actually fun. Better animation quality, adding detail to the world, and even utilizing some editing techniques. Let's start with the animation. Sometimes she likes to show off. This animation is insane, but what's more important is the little things. Keeping her models simple lets her more easily animate all these little motions. And being able to animate the little things really lets the world feel as alive as the characters do. And Vewn does something really interesting in order to make the characters feel this way. Harken back to this clip, and we can see that the animators save time by simply not animating when the character is still. This is a simple and efficient way to not waste time. But if the animators do animate every frame, even when the character is still, it creates a much different feeling. The character feels alive. In live action, this feeling is the difference between a paused character and a character that's mostly still. We can feel the stillness, but still know that time is moving forward. But Vewn doesn't have the time to animate every frame. That would be exhausting. So instead, she draws the same frame twice and then loops them. It's kind of cheating, but the effect is the same. It gives the character that feeling of being alive without spending inordinate amounts of time animating. And it's a nice way for the character to pop out against the background. But we don't want the character to pop out too much, because we do want them to feel like a part of the world. And the best way to do this is with lighting. Note her use of shadows. and her use of light. Notice that the light doesn't dominate the color underneath, it just shifts it. And it was when I was investigating her lighting that I also noticed her sneaking in a neat editing trick. Here, this light has a gradient at its edges. This is weird because everywhere else, Vewn will always just use the paint bucket to fill in color. This instance is the most obvious, but you'll see Vewn using this hazy effect many other places. Oftentimes, it's to make a screen have that glow effect. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is what she's doing. She'll take a frame, copy it to another layer, and then do some kind of blur effect and maybe play with the transparency. This creates that hazy effect around the edges that makes it feel lit up. All of these techniques add so much more to the world and story than just having more complicated models ever would. This is why this concept is so important. Because this allows Vewn to make what she wants, how she wants. By keeping characters simple, Vewn is allowed to paint her artist's brush on the aspect of animation that actually matters, which is the story and the meaning behind it. Animation is incredibly powerful and has a variety of different uses, the most popular on YouTube being those of memes and comedy. But it's refreshing to me as a fanatic of film to see someone like Vewn make animations that are just that. Films. And more importantly, my kind of films. A lot of films or stories will make the mistake of telling the audience the moral, and it always feels flat. But the best films make you figure it out for yourself. One way to make the audience think is by using abstract metaphors like these weird surreal dream sequences. Or by making two opposite characters and then showing their similarities.
The void inside of me is growing. I hate my life, but I hate everyone else's more. They're all mindless clones preoccupied with mundane things.
And it's really fun going through Vewn's comment sections and seeing the community have so much fun guessing at the meaning of her stories. Because while the structure of these films may satisfy pretentious folk like me, these stories are also incredibly relatable in a uniquely modern sense. See, films have always struggled with incorporating technology and the internet, but there's something so vividly real about these abstract animations of our modern experiences with technology. I can't really describe it, but I think you know it when you see it. This smooth incorporation of our modern experiences allows Vewn's work to be consistently refreshing, sometimes heartbreaking, and always downright incredible. Which makes me feel kinda sad to remember that my first thought about her style was that the art looked bad. Because what I failed to realize is that what's great about animation are the stories and the artistic techniques behind it, not the quality of the specific models themselves. Which means that you don't have to be a good artist to be a good animator. And no one has to copy Vewn's style. Instead, look at Vewn's style and remember this. Your weaknesses aren't as apparent as you think. And you have strengths that you aren't even aware of. So to sum up, bad art is really just low detail art. And low detail art is good for animation because it saves a ton of time. This saved time can then be spent on higher quality animation. Higher quality animation means the artist can tell the stories they want to in the way they want to. And when artists can tell the stories that they want to, we get Vewn. Yo. So, there's this button right down there. I forget what it's called, but you should hit that guy. You should hit it.